This was just the beginning. So you may recall earlier this year, my good friend in Scotland, Derek, sent me this wonderful Total Action Force, The Battle Years book. Now, I have a number of reference guides for a variety of toy lines, but this is by far the most in-depth and most valuable book that I have. Now, one of the authors, Brian Hickey, actually reached out to me and asked if I would do a quick shout out because they are now doing a Kickstarter for Volume 2, which is Total Action Force Volume 2, The International Heroes. Now, before we go into this Kickstarter, I just want to sort of quickly go over this first edition book. As I said, it's just been a valuable source of information for me. Now, as far as Action Force was concerned, I was with Action Force for about a year in 1984. So when getting this book, I was pleased to see it covered the entire line that I was familiar with and in some cases not familiar with. So the series one from 82, I do not recall ever seeing these on pegs. It wasn't until the second wave of figures in 1983 that I got on board. And when I look at this image, this just brings back so many great memories for me. And the photography in these pictures is fantastic as well. Now, in addition to all the action figures, we have a series of wonderful diorama photographs, and these have been done so professionally, and these are sort of littered throughout the book. So there are a number of those. Now, after we look at the figures and the vehicles and whatnot, there are a bunch of interviews with some of the Palitoy staff, starting, of course, with Bob Breakin. Now, as we progress through the book, we look at the comics that I used to enjoy as a kid. We even have bios on all the characters. And just to close things out, we got some really nice images of all the vehicles and play sets that were available. So this book, one of the best I've seen as far as toy guides go, and of course this goes into much more depth than just the toys. The Kickstarter for Volume 2 is live. It launched yesterday, and at the moment they've had 102 backers who have pledged almost $19,000, which is quite remarkable, and there are still 33 days to go. Now, this book is covering Action Force from 1987 to 1989. So for me, I had grown up and it was no longer collecting toys midway through 86, I believe. So this would all be new to me. And so obviously they're going to look at all the figures, vehicles, play sets, etc. But they also go into great depth with regards to the comics that were released in this time period, with obviously interviews with the artists and authors, one of which is Mike Collins. Lots of great artwork, and as always, you're going to get more of these amazing toy diorama photographs. So, the question I'm looking at now is, why should you back this book? And the answer states here, it's simple. So, I'm going to just read what they've said here. So we have exclusive interviews with a host of Action Force creatives. Beautifully designed with photography showcasing Action Force like never before. A truly comprehensive account of behind the scenes at Hasbro and Marvel UK. An in-depth look at the manufacturing process that happened in Ireland. Beautiful reprints of original artwork from the Action Force weekly and monthly comics with permission from Hasbro. And lastly, they break down in detail the stories of the toys, the comics, and the Action Force mythos. In other words, it's all going to be in this book. Based on my experience with Volume 1, I can only assume Volume 2 is going to be another absolute cracker. So as I said, still got 33 days, so I'm guessing when this goes live on YouTube, 32 days. and they're currently at almost 19,000. So they're doing pretty damn well given it's only 2 days old. So there you go. Total Action Force Volume 2 International Heroes Kickstarter now live. Links to this will be in the description down below, so don't hesitate, go on there and give this Kickstarter your backing.